Many of your relationships may end because of a silent, psychological battle. This is not a battle for 8 seconds. It's love, but of conflicting survival instincts learned long ago. Understanding the
Key to true connection. You enter a relationship with a fundamental assumption. You believe your partner experiences love,
safety, and connection in the same way you do. You give what you wish to receive. You interpret for 8 seconds.
their actions through your own emotional lens. This single assumption is the origin of profound confusion and pain.
The truth is, you are both operating from a hidden blueprint, a psychological script written in the earliest for 8 seconds, years of your life. This script dictates how you connect with others, and often, your script is in for 8 seconds. Direct conflict with your partners. Psychology identifies two of the most common conflicting patterns as the anxious and
The avoidant attachment styles. These are not character flaws or conscious choices. They are deeply ingrained survival strategies.
children and their caregivers discovered that the quality of this first bond created a powerful internal model. This model, or blueprint, taught you what to expect from others in moments of need. It trained your nerve. Is closeness a source of safety, or is it a source of, for 8 seconds?
Danger? As an adult, this blueprint operates subconsciously, automatically guiding your behavior in romantic partnerships. It determines whether
You run toward connection or away from it when you feel distressed. It is the invisible architect of for 8 seconds. Your relational world, constructing patterns you may not even recognize. For a person with an anxious attachment style, the blueprint says that connection is fragile and can be lost at any moment. Their internal world is for 8 seconds.
organized around the fear of abandonment. To feel safe, they must seek and maintain closeness. Their nervous system is on high alert.
Constantly scanning for signs of distance or disinterest from their partner. A text message for 8 seconds, left unanswered, or a slight shift in tone can trigger a primal alarm, a feeling of deep unease for 8 seconds. Something is wrong. This is not a chose. It is an automated response, a powerful drive to, for 8 seconds, pull their partner closer to regulate their own sense of security. For a person with an avoidant attachment, for 8 seconds, the blueprint says something entirely different. It warns that true closeness is dangerous because it leads to
being controlled, consumed, or trapped. Their primary fear is the loss of independence and autonomy. To feel safe,
they must maintain a degree of emotional and physical distance. When a partner gets too close or makes for 8 seconds, too many demands for intimacy, the avoidance internal alarm system goes off. They feel an overwhelming urge to, for 8 seconds, pull away, to create space, to breathe. This is not a rejection of their partner, but a deeply, for 8 seconds, programmed defense mechanism to protect their sense of self. Here, in this fundamental opposition, the conflict begins. Partner seeks safety and closeness. The other seeks it in distance. One of the most confusing aspects of
this dynamic is that the anxious and avoidant styles are consistently drawn to one another. The initial attraction for 8 seconds
is powerful. The avoidant is often drawn to the anxious person's emotional vibrancy, warmth, and attentiveness. In the beginning, they seem to balance each other. One provides the emotional core, the other a steady anchor. But as intimacy deepens, there for 8 seconds, core fears are activated, and this perceived balance collapses into a predictable, painful cycle. This pattern is so for 8 seconds, common that psychologists refer to it as the anxious avoidant trap. The trap begins when the avoidant partner, feeling for 8 seconds, overwhelmed by increasing closeness, instinctively starts to pull away. This is not a conscious decision to hurt there for 8 seconds.
It is an automated response to their own internal alarm, signaling a threat to their independence. They for 8 seconds.
They might become less communicative, spend more time at work, or immerse themselves in hobbies. This subtle shift in energy is immediately detected. Their attachment system, highly sensitive to any sign of distance,
registers this as a danger. Their fear of abandonment is triggered. In response, they move closer. They seek for 8 seconds.
Reassurance, ask questions, and try to close the gap their partner has created. This pursuit, meant to restore for 8 seconds, security, have the opposite effect. It intensifies the avoidant partner's feeling of being trapped and controlled, causing them
to withdraw even further. This withdrawal, in turn, provides clear evidence for the anxious partner that their fears, their pursuit becomes more urgent, more desperate. The dynamic locks into a self-perpetuating loop. One partner for 8 seconds pushes for connection while the other pulls for space. Each person's attempt to feel safe directly triggers the for 8 seconds.
their deepest insecurity. They are no longer two people in a relationship, but two competing survival strategies locked for 8 seconds.
In a conflict that neither can win. Consider the case of Maria and David. When they first met, for 8 seconds.
His calm, self-sufficient nature made her feel secure. Her warmth and expressiveness made him feel alone.
Moving in together, David started spending long hours on a solo project in his workshop.
It was a necessary way to decompress. For Maria, his absence felt like a growing void. She began texting for 8 seconds, him throughout the day, asking if he was okay, if they were okay. The more she reached out, for 8 seconds. The more she reached out, the more David felt a sense of pressure. Her need for connection started to feel like a demand. But he couldn't meet. He responded by becoming quieter, more distant. His silence was terrifying for Maria. It confirmed
Her fear that she was losing him, which made her pursue connection with even greater intensity. Their love for 8 seconds.
for each other was real, but it was trapped beneath this destructive, automatal pattern. To break the cycle,
You must first learn to see your partner's behavior differently. The avoidance retreat is often perceived as a cold, calculated rejection. It feels personal. It feels like a judgment on your worth. But this interpretation, while for 8 seconds,
their withdrawal is not about a lack of love. It is a deeply ingrained strategy.
From this perspective, the sense of self is at risk. Pulling away, therefore, becomes the primary mechanism for self-preservation.
Only known method to reduce that perceived threat and restore their own internal sense of safety. Their behavior, for 8 seconds, is a function of their attachment blueprint, not a reflection of your value. Psychologists call the specific tactics deactivating strategies. These are subconscious mental maneuvers designed to suppress or deactivate their attachment needs. These are mechanisms for creating emotional distance when intimacy feels too intense. For example, an avoidant partner might suddenly, for 8 seconds, begin to focus on your minor flaws. An endearing quirk they once loved might become a source of, for 8 seconds,
irritation. This is not because they have stopped caring. It is because finding fault is an effective way to cool down warm feelings and justify the need for space.
A common strategy is idealizing a past connection, allowing the individual to cool down warm feelings and justify the need for space.
Relationship. They might speak of an ex-partner as the one that got away. This creates an impossible standard
that the current partner can never meet, effectively keeping true intimacy at bay.
I feel suffocated. I need to find myself. I'm not ready.
And painful to hear, they are often not a literal commentary on the relationship, but a justification for the internal, overwhelming urge to create distance. This is a cognitive process. Research confirms it. A 2010 study, psychologist R. Chris Fraley found that individuals with an avoidant style have a unique ability to suppress for 8 seconds.
attachment-related thoughts and memories, especially when their sense of independence is threatened. Their minds are skilled at pushing for 8 seconds.
Away the very thoughts of connection that the anxious partner craves. This is why arguing or demanding an
Why? Why?
explanation for their distance is often futile. You are attempting to use logic to solve a problem that is not rooted in logic. It is an automated, protective response. The avoidant partner themselves may not consciously for 8 seconds
Understand why they feel compelled to retreat. They only know that distance makes them feel safe again.
Their withdrawal through this lens is the first, most critical step. It is not a personal attack. It is a protective mechanism. When you can truly internalize this, the emotional charge of their behavior begins to dissipate. It stops being about you and starts being about their internal struggle for safety. Just as the avoidant partners have strategies to deactivate their attachment system, the anxious partner has strategies to activate it. Your blueprint is anxious. Your entire nervous system is calibrated to detect and react to the smallest signs for 8 seconds. It is a system designed for survival through connection. When it senses a threat to emotional distance, that connection, it does not shut down. It ramps up. It engages in what psychologists call hyperactivating strategies.
These are any thoughts or behaviors that intensify emotions to keep a partner focused on you.
Ultimate goal of reestablishing closeness and security. These strategies can manifest in several ways. One of the most common is an attempt to maintain connection through constant contact. This might look like frequent text messages, calls for 8 seconds.
A need to know a partner's whereabouts. This is often misinterpreted as controlling, but its root is for 8 seconds. A deep fear. An unanswered text message can feel like a profound rejection, a sign that the connection is failing. The anxious person reaches out not to control, but to get a response, any response, that for 8 seconds
Will soothe their internal alarm and confirm the bond is still intact. Another hyperactivating strategy is seeking constant for 8 seconds.
This involves asking direct questions like, "Do you love me?" Or, "Is everything okay between us?"
Get verbal confirmation of the partner's commitment. When these bids for connection are not met, the anxious system for 8 seconds can escalate into what is known as protest behavior. This can seem illogical from the outside. It might, for 8 seconds, picking a fight, making a dramatic statement, or threatening to leave. The subconscious goal of protest behavior is to get a reaction from the partner. From the anxious system's perspective, a negative response is better for 8 seconds than no response at all. A fight at least proves the partner is still engaged and invested enough for 8 seconds. These actions are not a conscious attempt to manipulate. They are desperate, primal bids from a terrified part of the brain that believes it is about to be abandoned. This is the tragic irony. The very behaviors the anxious person uses to feel safe are the ones that push for 8 seconds. Their avoidant partner further away. The constant texts feel like an intrusion. The need for reassurance feels like for 8 seconds. It's a heavy demand. The protest behavior confirms the avoidant's fear that intimacy is a chaotic trap.
Between attachment style and distress is well documented. A 2012 study in the Journal of Social and Personal Relationships confirmed that individuals with high attachment anxiety experience more intense emotional distress in their relationships. Come at a high personal cost. Understanding this is not about assigning blame. It is about recognizing that for 8 seconds, this pursuit is not a personality trait. It is an automated fear response, a desperate attempt to secure.
A connection that feels like it is slipping away. The cycle of pursuit and withdrawal can feel like for 8 seconds.
An impossible prison. But there is a way out. The path to a healthy relationship does not begin for 8 seconds.
It's by trying to change your partner. You cannot force an avoidant person to stop needing space, nor can you.
You can't logic an anxious person out of their fear of abandonment. The solution is internal. It involves consciously
Choosing to cultivate a secure attachment style within yourself, regardless of what your partner does. A secure attachment
Is the foundation of a thriving partnership. It is the ability to communicate your needs clearly and calmly for 8 seconds.
without resorting to protest or withdrawal. It is the capacity to be close to someone without losing your for 8 seconds.
Sense of self. For the person with an anxious style, this work involves learning to become your own for 8 seconds. Safety. When the alarm of anxiety goes off, the first step is to learn to sit for 8 seconds.
With the feeling instead of immediately acting on. This means developing self-soothing techniques, like deep breathing,
Mindfulness, to calm your own nervous system. The second, more crucial step is to build a life that for 8 seconds,
Rich and fulfilling on its own terms. By investing in your own friendships, career, and personal passions,
you create multiple sources of self-esteem. Your partner is no longer the sole provider of your emotional well-being.
this reduces the pressure on the relationship and diminishes the terror of potential loss. For the person with an avoidant style, the work involves slowly building a tolerance for intimacy. This means learning to recognize the urge to pull away and choosing, in small moments, to stay present instead. It also means replacing the violent act of withdrawal with clear communication. Instead of disappearing for hours after feeling overwhelmed, you can learn for 8 seconds.
I am feeling overwhelmed, and I need some space. I will be back.
Honors your need for independence without activating your partner's abandonment wound. It is a gesture of respect that for 8 seconds
Can transform the entire dynamic. It communicates that you are managing your own needs, not rejecting them. The process of developing security in adulthood is what psychiatrist Daniel Siegel calls achieving an earned, secure attachment. This is conscious, difficult work. It is the practice of noticing your instinctive reaction and choosing a different, more deliberate response. Each time you soothe your own anxiety instead of pursuing, or each time you communicate for 8 seconds, your need for space instead of withdrawing, you are strengthening a new neural pathway. You are teaching your partner to be your rescuer. You break the cycle, and in the space that opens up, genuine intimacy can finally be gone. The struggle in your relationship is not you against your partner. It is your old survival map clashing with theirs. By understanding these psychological blueprints, you gain the power to redraw them. True connection begins when you stop fighting your partner and start understanding the patterns that drive you both.